Steve, the Premier League's underway and a great start for your guys, winning 1-0 at QPR last week.
Well, everybody wants to get off to a good start, and now we've got the opportunity to go back-to-back wins, which I don't think we've done for a year. So it shows you how difficult it is to win 2 on the trot in the Premier League. So we hope that we've got the freshness after the midweek exertions in Europe, but it's going to be a big challenge, but one we'll look forward to. And first Premier League game at home, so all to play for.
The squad's going to come under some scrutiny because you're playing weekends and then during the week. You think you can cope with that?
Well, make no mistake, it's difficult, and we've just experienced how difficult it is in the last couple of weeks. You know, we didn't get home until 2 o'clock. The time you get at the airport and you get home, it's 3 o'clock. The time you get to bed, probably 3:30. You know, before you know it, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you know, you're trying to prepare for the next game. So we're under no illusion how difficult it's going to be, but I made a conscious effort to change 9 players the other day. So let's hope there's enough freshness about us to make sure that we can get a win on Saturday.
Are there pluses and minuses to that being in Europe? Because of course you've already had a few more competitive games than everyone else, but at the same time...
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake, the minus is, I've always said, when a club like ours, or when I was at Wigan or Birmingham or Sunderland, if you've got one of the top teams and they've been in Europe, it's certainly an advantage. You've got all week to prepare. We've done no preparation work for Stoke. It's impossible because we played on Thursday. So, you know, you do have an advantage in that respect. However, we haven't been in Europe for 100 years in our history, so we've got to enjoy the challenge of that. And as I've said, I've made a conscious effort to rotate the squad. As I said, let's hope there's enough freshness to make sure that we're okay.
And Stoke City on Sunday, your first home league game, for the fans to see some of the new faces at the club as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some tragic news in the week regarding Rob Snodgrass, because we invested heavily in him. Unfortunately, he damaged his knee last week at QPR. He's going to miss the best part of 6 months, so we do wish him well, and we're going to miss him. We've consciously brought in a midfield player like him to give us a little bit of craft and ability in a wideish area, and his delivery and his ability to score a goal we'll miss. So it's going to be difficult, but it'll see the fans. You're right. We'll see the other ones we've brought into the squad. We've made a conscious effort this year of bringing in some younger players into the squad, young and hungry and desperate to do well, and in Andy Robertson and Harry Maguire and young Tom Ince and Robert Snodgrass, and of course Jake Livermore's not that old himself, so we've secured him. So we're very pleased with the business we've done so far, and let's hope there's still a little bit more to do.
Well, this is it, Steve. You'd expect me to ask this, but you know, the transfer window is still open. Jordan Rhodes has been linked with Hull City. Yeah. Any more news on that?
Well, as soon as you make an inquiry or a bid these days, it's out, whether it's by tweeting or wherever it is, or social media, wherever it is. So it's very difficult, and for years I've tried not to speak about other people's players, but there has been a bid lodged. I do believe it was rejected. I do believe we're still speaking at boardroom level, so let's hope we can find a common ground. You know, they've got their evaluation and we've got ours, like any transfer, and let's see what we can do. But
if not, a striker is needed. You mentioned Snodgrass is out, Long's gone, so a goal scorer on the horizon.
Well, we understand that. I had a really good meeting with the owners in Belgium for a good few hours. They understand the situation that we found ourselves in a week. You know, this is what happens in football, you know, and so it's happened. Thankfully, it's happened when we can do something about it. We've still got 10 days, so I would expect before we kick off with at least 2-3 players to walk through the door.
I know we're only a week in, Steve, but what are you looking for this season? Is it to establish yourself as a Premier League side?
Absolutely. The club's never managed to go 2 years in the Premier League. You know, and we've got to do, I think this club went up with Stoke in 2008, and look what Stoke have done in the last 6 or 7 years. That's got to be the aim for a club like ours now, is get established. Second season for me is always the most difficult. In your first season, there's no expectation. Last year we were odds-on favourite, a bit like Burnley, to not get a point even, you know. So we defied the odds then. All of a sudden now there's an expectation here that, you know, and rightly so, how well we've done. But we've got to live with that and deal with it, but not to get too carried away, and make sure that we stay here, and we'll stay here for a good few years.
It seems cliche to say every season that this is the most competitive Premier League, but it will be at the top, probably will be at the bottom, and in the middle where...
Well, it was wonderful last year, wasn't it? I mean, there was 10 clubs competing at the bottom end of the division, not to get dragged into it. We were one of them towards the end. Thankfully, we were always seemed as if we got a result when we needed to, and at the top end there was 4 or 5 competing for the title itself, which the competition has got bigger and better in each year, as far as I'm concerned. Keeps growing as a product, and long may that continue. And everybody, every club, when you're preparing like now, whether you're Hull or whether you're at the top end, you know, the one thing you want to do is make sure that you're successful in whatever league you think you're in within that league, and let's hope we can do it again.